When I made my Ray Morningstar cosplay, I also made his field notes journal. It was the first time I ever bound in genuine leather, which was very exciting. And I still had a decent amount of that gorgeous purple leather left, and also you can never have too many notebooks, so I figured I'd just make a second one. And I figured I'd take you along with me with that. You want to start out with what is called signatures. A signature is about 5 or 6 sheets of paper folded in the middle, so 10 to 12 pages. The signatures will make up your book block, so the actual inside of the book. I may have taught myself to bookbind, but I'm not the main authority to teach you how to do this. And also my camera unfortunately did not want to cooperate as I was filming this. But basically what you do is you mark off even sections of your book spine, and that's where you're going to essentially sew through the paper. I'm going to link a tutorial that I find helpful down below. But basically you just want to use a very sturdy thread and sew through the spine, and once you've secured it to your liking, you're going to cover it with glue. Bookbinding is like 80% just glue. I use wood glue. You can also use any other sort of PVA glue. Basically a strong glue that dries fast and dries clear. And you're just gonna want to cover your spine of your books with that several times, because this is what keeps all of these pages together. The sewing is what keeps them in their order, but the binding alone is not gonna keep it as a sturdy block of book. So you're gonna want to cover it with several coats of your wood glue or glue of choice. And I also like to cover it with a strip of fabric for some extra stability on the spine. This is essentially the base of the cover of the book. I made this out of some very sturdy cardboard. You can also use plyboard, or if you have a very old notebook you don't mind reusing, you can use that cover. That's actually what I did for my original field notes journal. You'll also want some sort of sturdy cardboard or paper, which will be the connecting page between the covers and the actual book block. You can use wood glue for securing those together, but I find that just using a glue stick works fine. You're just gonna want to cover both your front and back page of the book block and one of the sides of the end paper with your glue, and then very carefully stick them together and make sure that all of the edges match. And here we have the gorgeous spliced leather that I bought for my field notes journal. I'm basically just smoothing it out and then laying down my prepared cover, which is helping me essentially measure out where to cut so I have enough of the leather to fold over the edges for securing it. And we're back to gluing stuff. I again am just using wood glue, and I'm using a little paint mixing spatula to smooth out the surface of the glue. This is not strictly necessary, but I find that it helps the glue stick better and it's more even, which means there's less risk of the material you're binding into bubbling up or having weird creases in places where you don't want them. Starting out with the spine is, in my experience, a very good way to go about it, just because that way it's much easier to line up the front and back halves of your cover with the material. And I also glued down the little bits at the top and bottom. This just makes for a smoother look and also makes sure that none of the cardboard shines through when opening and closing the book. When gluing down your covers to your material, be that fabric or leather, you want to apply a lot of pressure as you glue it down. This just helps you, first of all, it helps the glue actually stick very, very securely, and also, again, it makes for a much more even finish. And then you just want to fold over your edges, and you want to do that before putting in your book block, because the end papers that we installed earlier are going to cover all of these edges. This both makes for a much neater look and also just for a more secure grip of the book to the book covers, essentially. This is essentially what keeps the book in its shape. This is what keeps the book covers and the book block together, is these sturdier end pages. And very important, in order for your book to actually move, you don't want to glue down the spine of the book block into your covers. You just want to secure the front and backing pages to the book covers, but the spine needs to be able to actually move. And the last step is, of course, decorating the cover. Now, Ray obviously has a different constellation than the one I'm painting here. I figured since this is a notebook I'll be using for my own self and not for cosplay, I would just add my own favorite constellation, which is Cygnus, the swan. I used acrylic paint this time around. The first time I just used a little lacquer marker, but I found that that unfortunately smears a little bit. So I did the majority of the painting with some silver acrylic paint instead, and then just did the writing of field notes on the cover with that aforementioned pen. And then the very last step was to just install some little bands to tie the book closed.